Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Now as always with my videos, this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. I've got a confession for you guys. I did a bit of research before I saw this film and I did see that it wasn't doing great in America. It had flopped in the box office and it wasn't getting great critical reviews. But if I'm being honest with you, I'd completely ignore all that because King Arthur is a very fun, very serviceable fantasy adventure film, and I actually rather enjoyed it, if I'm being honest. There are issues with it, and I will discuss them later on in this video, but here's a few things I did enjoy. And I've got to give props straight away. All of my love for this film has come from all of my hate for Jude Law in this film, because Jude Law is absolutely incredible in this film. I think it's the best Jude Law has been for the past 10 years. He is so good as the detestable evil uncle. He played that role perfectly. I think the rest of the cast were pretty great. Charlie Hunnam, I know he gets a bad rap sometimes, but he was pretty good. I got into his character. I'm going to address it. I wasn't going to, but David Beckham's in this film, and yeah, it's not great. Put him in it, but don't put him in it in such a pivotal scene of the whole film, because it completely took away the gravitas and the significance of this scene because you had David Beckham dicking about. So that really didn't work for me. I did really enjoy the way this film felt and the way it was edited together. It was very quick cuts, very choppy and changey, and it did sort of keep me interested in this film longer than I thought I was gonna. There were two very great scenes that stuck out to me in this film that had that really quick style of editing, and they were great, and they were very reminiscent of early Guy Ritchie films. And that was the scene in the tavern very early on where they were telling the story and it was cut in between the characters and what was actually happening. And also when they were going to meet the barons, they also said what was going to happen as it was happening. It just really reminded me of Rock and Roller for some reason. I'm not really sure. Well, I know why, because it's a Guy Ritchie film, but it just felt very much like Rock and Roller, and I really enjoyed that. And before I go on to my little negative quote, little negative about this film, I do want to say I think Guy Ritchie is really onto something with this franchise. I think the first half of this film, it felt different. It felt really good. It actually felt really like a really good film, and it felt like he was putting his stamp on it and he was making something new and exciting and different. But then there was a point in this film where you just knew that the studio had got involved and they'd made changes to this film, because it just felt, this whole story just felt rushed. It felt like a 3-hour film was condensed into a 2-hour film. It did feel really rushed, and I feel really bad for Guy Ritchie here because I know it's not his fault, but they just started it was like they were taking chunks of the story out. I know I said that the editing was really quick, but I don't think that was the problem. I think they were literally just taking bits of the story out as they were going along, just so it made enough sense for you to keep following it. And they also added some really bad CGI, and this is the little bit that made me hate this film. Don't get me wrong, there's some great CGI in this film, but there is one scene that is fucking dog shit, and it's awful, and they made it, you could tell they made it specifically for the 3D audience because all the spikes and shit are flying around, but the animation was so bad. He looked really rubbery, he was like floating around like this with a sword. It just didn't work for me, and it took away from my overall enjoyment from the film. But as I say, I don't want to bag on Guy Ritchie, I don't want to bag on the film, because I know they were just a victim of the studio's interference. You could really tell that. So I do think this franchise has legs, and I really want it to. I want it to do well, and I want them to get the sequel, and I want them to just give the creative control to Guy Ritchie and let him make the film he wants to make. And you know, if you want to call it King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table or something like that, you go for it, Guy. That's my early concept for the sequel name. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. I did enjoy this film. I just lost interest towards the end because I just knew there were so many things that had been changed, and it just took away my overall enjoyment. But it's definitely not as bad as people have been saying. It's definitely worth a watch. It's enjoyable. It's a serviceable, fun blockbuster. So go and check it out if you haven't already seen it. And if you have seen it, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, why not give it a like and subscribe, because you'll be helping me out massively. And I will see you in the very next episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. Ta-ra!